Hey everybody, this is Richard Williams, aka Rev65, and we're going to be walking through Eddie's little tutorial here from AE Tuts called Create an Underwater Scene. So you've probably seen that, looked at it. It's got all the different steps, but somebody had wanted it in a video tutorial, so I'm going to try to walk you guys through this here step by step, just as he's created it. So with no further ado, let's get going here. And I'm working off my second screen here, so I'm just going to follow step by step exactly what he says to do. So we're going to go over here to Composition, New Composition. We're going to use the 720p settings in PAL, and 15 seconds for our time. And we'll rename this main comp. Just like so. Now we've got three basic elements here, the background, the bubble particles, and the light rays. And so we're going to make three different solids, one for each of those. So we'll go up here to Layer, New, Solid, and we'll make it comp size. Black is fine. Say OK, and this will be our background layer. And actually I'm just going to duplicate that, Control D, here on the PC, and this one we're going to rename Bubbles, and this top one we're going to rename Light Rays, just like that. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to start with the background layer, so I'm going to solo that so we can work from there, and we're going to apply the ramp effect. So we're going to go up to Effect, Generate, Ramp. Oh, I'll get there in a second. There we go. And we're going to just change our start color and our end color from black and white to kind of a bright blue. Somewhere in there. Down to a darker blue. That looks pretty good. Just like that. And you can grab these control points and change your start and end value if you want to. But that's not bad. It looks pretty good just like that. All right. Now we're going to move up to the bubbles layer, and we'll solo that. And to this one, we're going to apply effects, simulation. This is off screen here. Sorry about that. CC particle world is what we're looking for. There we go. And we're going to start at the bottom here. We're going to go to the birth rate up to 110. Longevity, 20 seconds. And we scrub through the timeline here just a little bit. There we go. Looking good. All right. Let's tweak this a little bit more. Let's go down to the physics. And we're going to change the velocity to 0. We don't want any of those particles to move on their own, and we're going to change the gravity down to -0.001, just like that. Go to the particles. Want a faded sphere for the particles. Birth size is 0.07. Death size is going to be 0.03. And the colors, so he's actually given us the hex numbers there. So we got 0099 CB for the first one, and 62 AF, excuse me, A8FF for the second one. Great. And we'll scrub down a little bit further in the timeline. Super. All right, let's go back up to the producer. And we'll make a few changes there. We want it to be big enough so that all these particles fill the screen. He says we don't need a whole lot for Y, but we want to deal with X and Z. So to, hey, if you want to throw a camera in there later and move around a little bit, this will give you the ability to do that. Okay, So on the radius on the X, 4.7. Radius on the Y is 0.9. And the radius on the Z, 4.5. Okay. And we can take the Y position down a little bit too. Wrong way. Let's go down, 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 down. He says 1. That's a little bit far. Let's try that for now and see what that looks like. Okay. And let's get rid of that grid. Bingo. All right. One more thing. We're going to go into the Options tab here. Right up here. And under Rendering, we need to check under Depth Q, Fade, and give it a distance 2.5. Say OK. And OK. Very good. Now let's head over to working on the light rays, and as he indicated, most of the time we think about going to fractal noise for that, but again, we're going to use CC Particle World for that one. So we'll solo this layer, light rays, and again we're going to go to Effect, Generate. That's not Generate, it's under Simulation. Effect, Simulate, CC Particle World. Sorry about that. We're going to go right into the settings here. Birth rate. Oh, let's go for 60 and 1.6 on the longevity. Let's go down to physics. Change the velocity to 0.14. Gravity 0. There we go. Now we're going to go into the particle submenu here. And we're going to change those. Again, we're going to go to either a darkened or a faded sphere. Birth and death colors, we're going to go to white for both of these. Cool. And back to the producer. Again, we want the X radius to kind of fill out the comp there, so we'll go with 1 for that one. And we're going to need them 3D in case you want to zoom through with the camera there. 4.5. And we're going to change the Y position just a little bit and bring it up here. Up to the top. There we go. And just as we did previously, we're going to go into the options under rendering. Enable fade, and again set the distance here 2.5. Say OK, and again we'll turn off the floor. Great. Hey, we're almost halfway there. Now we're going to apply another effect to this one, and so we're going to go Effect, Blur and Sharpen, CC Radial Blur, and we're going to change the type to Fading Zoom and crank up the amount 200. However you want that to look. Okay. And then the other thing is we're going to move the center point up and actually out of the comp here. So we're going to go with the values that Eddie's provided us with here. There's 100 in the X and minus 148 in the Y. There we go. And again, we can, same thing, if you got a camera set up, you can zoom in and out. And with these two, we want to unsolo that so you can see what we've got so far. And there's no way to do kind of a pre-roll, not that I know of on these two effects. So what we're going to do is we're going to time shift these two layers just a little bit so that when we go back to the beginning, they will have already done their stuff. So we're going to offset them just a few seconds. Back to home. So now you can see they've actually begun. All right. So now it's time for our text layer. So I'm going to go here to Layer, New Text. And right there in the center screen, we'll type underwater. Let's not use that. Good old arrow. All right. Kind of center that up just a little bit. Let's embolden that. That looks better. And actually, I do want to change the tracking just a little bit. Ooh, wrong way. There. And now we need some kind of way for the water, the text to interact. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a couple of maps here. To Layer, New, Solid. I'm going to call this Reflection Map. I can type. Again, black, comp size. Say OK. And good old fractal noise. So here we go. Effects. Noisy grain. Fractal noise. Set the fractal type to terrain, noise type to spline, and we're going to change our contrast settings here. Contrast will be down to 50, and our brightness negative 25. Great. Now we're going to get this moving. So we're going to go down here to our sub settings, and we're going to type a couple of quick little expressions here. And so here on the sub offset, I'm going to alt click on the stopwatch and write this little expression. So we got open bracket 0, comma time times negative 150, close bracket, and enter on the number path. So the sub offset's going to stay at 0 there on the x-axis, but as the current time indicator moves forward, it'll move that many units. So you can bump ahead and see that. And we're going to do the same thing for evolution as well. Again, I'm going to alt click on the stopwatch, and this time it's just good old time times 500. And we're good to go. Now we've got our map. Now we got to do something with it so that it will interact with the things that are on the screen. So I'm going to go Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. And I'm going to rename this one Reflection Control. And we're going to put it underneath the reflection map. And here under the track map, we're going to drop down and choose Luma Matte, just like that. Now this adjustment layer is using the reflection map up here, the fractal noise. It's using the luminance there to adjust everything beneath it. So we're going to go back and we're going to again use CC Radial Blur. And I'm just going to go over here. Radial Blur. Bring that down here onto, and kind of similar changes here. Again, we're going to make this a fading zoom, 200. And with this one, we're going to keep the center point inside the comp, but we want it kind of up where the other one is. Just like that. And to this, we're going to apply fast blur. Fast blur. Drag it over. 10. And we will repeat edge pixels. Now we need to add some displacement. So we're going to create a new layer, new, solid. And say OK. We're actually going to pre-comp that layer, pre-compose. We'll call it displacement map. A hard time spelling today. And let's open up this, Alt double click, open that up. And again to this solid. Again, one more time, CC particle world. And birth rate to 1. Longevity to 19. Under physics, velocity to 0.01. Gravity to minus 0.01. And the particles. Again, we're going to use a faded sphere. Burst size to 1.8. Depth size to 0.82. And we'll change the opacity to 100. And birth color is going to be white, and death color is going to be black. Birth color is white. Death color, black. Very good. And again, we come down the timeline and see what we got there. Great. And down to producer, we'll finish this up here. The Y position, we're going to drop that down. And again, he says 0.90. I would like that just a little bit higher than that. So we'll try 0.5 and see what happens. Great. X radius is to 1.6. Again, Y radius is to 0.4. And Z 1.3. And turn off the grid. And again, this is another one of those that we may want to offset just a little bit so that the producers had an opportunity to actually generate particles. So we'll just click and drag that. All right, let's go back to our main composition. And we don't need to see that, so we can turn that off. And we'll bring it down here below everything else so that we don't have to deal with that anymore. Now we're going to need a new adjustment layer. New adjustment layer. Enter, we'll rename this one displacement control. And we're going to put the displacement map on it. So we're going to go under Effect, Distort, Displacement Map. And under Displacement Map Layer, it will grab it here, and we're going to go and choose our displacement map. On the horizontal and vertical, we're going to change them to 15. And again, wrap edge pixels. Now you noted we kind of get this nasty stuff happening down here on the background layer. And that's an easy fix. Select the background layer, S for scale, and change that up to 102%. And boom, there we go. Voila, all done. Alrighty. Now let's work on animating the text just a little bit. So here we are in our main comp. And let's follow this. I'm going to rename this title so we know what's going on. Well, I didn't do this back in step 11, but we'll do it now. We're actually going to pre-compose that layer. Here we go. And Alt double click. And now that we're in here, we're going to add another solid. So we're going to go Layer, New, Solid. We're going to pre-compose that, Layer, Pre-compose. And this is going to be our bubble distortion. Oh, spelling's lousy today. And to that, guess what? Yes, good old CC Particle World one more time. Let's open that comp, Alt double click. Here we go. And one more time. Here we go for the settings. Birth rate is 1. Longevity is 19. Y position is 0.88. Z position 1.73. X radius is 1.6. Y radius 0.4. Down to physics, the velocity is 0.01. Gravity is negative 0.01. Go down to the particles. Particle is again a faded sphere. Birth size of 1. Depth size of 1. Size variation 0. So you don't want that to change. Maximum opacity is going to be 100%. And birth and death color both are white. There we go. Turn off the grid. And again, we're going to offset this just a little bit. Go down here to the 12-second mark. Click, drag, snap it in place. Back to the beginning. There we go. And again, if that's not enough for you there, you can come back up here to the producer and adjust the Y position so that it's further up, which I did because I like it a little better. There we go. All right, we're done there. Let's go back in here. We're going to hide this bubble distortion. And if you want to adjust the text just a little bit, he suggests putting a bevel and emboss layer style to it. So here, layer styles, bevel and emboss, and bevel and emboss. And we're going to go at depth 220. Size is only going to be 4. And just this here, altitude 50 degrees. Great. One more effect. This is CC Blobulize. Can never say that. Blobulize. CC Blobulize. And we'll apply that to our text. And right in here, change the blob layer to our bubble distortion layer. There we go. Looking good. Now we're going to set some keyframes. So let's go to 1 second on the time indicator. And we've got the sub menu here on how much blobbiness do we want. And we're going to keyframe softness, and we're going to keyframe cutaway. Softness is going to be 25. Cutaway is going to be 100. And I'm going to go down here to title and hit U so I can see my keyframes. And we're going to go all the way down here to the 9-second mark and do the same thing. We're going to create keyframe there and keyframe there. Highlight. We're going to go to animation, keyframe assistance, easy ease. All right, just ease those in and out. Okay, back to 2 seconds. And here in the softness, we want a value of 30. And we'll go down to 315. Put another keyframe to the value of 30. Five seconds. Softness gets 100. Cutaway gets 0. And then down to 7 seconds. Again, it's keyframe at 100. And cutaway 0. Yep, we're done. See what that's doing. Great. Now he says to make the text look cooler, we're going to do this. Let's do this in the main comp. Yep. So select title and Control D. Great. There we go. Now to this one, we apply fast blur. Great. Yeah. Do it here. Pixels. Great. And we're going to duplicate the background layer. Control D. Put it above the title layer. And we're going to use this as a track matte. So we're going to come over here to track matte and set it as a Luma matte. Just like that. In fact, let's rename this one background 2 so we can keep track. Great. Super. Almost done. Color correction. Layer, new, adjustment layer. Rename this CC, color correction. And to this one, we're going to apply the curves. And we're going to do the old S curve here. Up the highlights just a little bit and drag our darks down just a little bit. Great. And over here on the light rays layer, I'm going to put exposure. There we go. Wrong one. This exposure. There. Set that to 1. Great. That'll make those light rays pop just a little bit. Okay, you're done. Let's give this a quick render here. All right, and through the magic of time lapse, let's take a quick look at our RAM preview here. Text animates on. And off. Nice. Here we go. Good job. Hey, I hope you had fun with this. Hope this helps you out. And super good job to Eddie for writing this tutorial and posting it for us at AE Tuts Plus. Hey, thanks guys. Again, my name is Richard Williams, aka Rev75. We'll see you back on the forums there at AE Tuts Plus. Blessings.